Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Fernandez. So I'm a student of Tara Institute. So welcome tonight. Could I do what I always do? Can a show of hands if this is the first time you've come to a Monday night teaching? Okay, a few people, and I'm assuming the rest of you have been many times. Yes, which is good. So welcome to both groups of people. So tonight I'm going to cover what's the nature of, what's the source of happiness, and what types of suffering we experience, and are there ways and means through the listening and contemplating and meditating on some of the topics that Buddhism presents to actually overcome those types of sufferings or delusions. So first thing in Buddhism, and I'll start this with every session, the motivation is very important. So whatever you do throughout your day, if you have a good motivation for doing it when you start, then you direct all that energy into that, whatever activity you're doing. So in the case you're spending close to an hour here, to have a good motivation, whatever that is really helpful. Because if it's a bit lackadaisical, I'll just come and I'll listen and yeah, then maybe there's not so much benefit. But if you have, I really want to get something good out of this, then sure enough, directing that energy actually helps. So the first thing I'd like to mention is there's a truism from Buddhism. So I've mentioned this before. I like this analogy, this saying. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama has used this sentence quite a few times. So all beings want happiness and don't want suffering. So is that true? Is it true in all instances? Yep. Okay, so it is largely true. However, there are people who have got a very distorted view of what happiness is, and for them, the suffering or the cause of the suffering actually brings them a form of happiness. So you can see that with people who are addicted, whether it's drugs or alcohol, that they're actually gravitating towards what is the source of unhappiness or suffering, but it brings them some sort of relief, temporary escape from their suffering. It gives them a happiness. But if you look at it with a non-distorted mind, you can see, that's not going to end well generally. It's actually going to cause more pain and suffering for them. So there are some people who've got a little bit of a skew-ish version of what actual happiness is and what suffering is. So another teaching from, this is his Geshe Doga, the Venerable Geshe Doga. He has said that a peaceful mind is a happy mind. So he's actually, in a sentence, encapsulating what Buddhism is saying, that if you have a peaceful mind, happiness results. So we can explore that a little bit. So it sort of means that although we're relying on external things for, we need food, shelter, affection, relationships, we need all these things to sort of keep us happy and content, that ultimately when we drill it back, we go, if your mind is peaceful, the happiness naturally follows. Now, if you have all these things, all these external things, but you're not happy, so say you've got lots of wealth, lots of success, but that still doesn't make you happy, will you be at peace? No, this is a big shake of the head there, that's very good. So essentially what happens, and you see this with, and I used this example last week as well, I have $1 million, I'd like $2 million or $5 million, and then I'll be happy. So there's that little bit of ambition. So ambition's good, but then there's that thing of, you've actually got quite a nice pot of money or resources is that sufficient? No, I really want to. I'll be happy when I get to 5. And then if you got to 5, would you be happy? No, you'd probably be going, well, look, I'm 10, 20. You know, you'd be reaching out again. So we use the when Geshe Doga is talking about the peaceful mind being the happy mind, he's talking about the mind being free of these afflictions. So we've got lots of examples of afflictions, obscurations. So I think there's 84,000 or something at last count. So anyway, don't quote me, but it's a fairly big number because there's sort of little subcategories and so on. But you can see the major ones that sort of that disturb us. So would anyone like to venture some? Anger, yeah, that's a big one. Okay. There's attachment or desire, that's another one. Anyone else? Aggression, yes. And there's one that I like to talk about, it's jealousy. So, and this one I've noticed, so it's problematic in that it causes a lot of problems because there's always a comparison with the person that or thing that you're jealous of, or and yourself. So there's always that. Oh, that person's so much more handsome than me, or taller, or richer, whatever. And then at the next moment, I should have all those great qualities, but richer, taller, more handsome, etc. So even though it's probably impossible, but that the mind works like that. So at that moment, when Geshe Doga is talking about the peaceful mind being the happy mind, with the mind of jealousy, it's not peaceful. In fact, it's quite disturbed at that point. So, could anyone relate a situation where jealousy could be a good afflicted emotion or good emotion to have? In anyone's experience? No. Okay. So, all right. So yeah, I can't find any instance where an afflicted emotion like jealousy would bring any form of peace or happiness myself. So, and that's a good examination, I think, of whether any emotion, is it worthwhile cultivating and holding on to. Yep. Is that not a subtle form of jealousy? No, it needn't be. You can always aspire to be better, to improve yourself. And if you do see someone, you're very fortunate to see someone who has peace, happiness, then it's natural to think, oh, I'd love to have that, without feeling that that person doesn't deserve it and I do. And quite often with jealousy, there is that thing of trying to tear the other person down, like, oh, well, they don't deserve all that recognition, that peace and happiness, the adulation, because of their good qualities, that I deserve that. So you can have that mind of aspiring for peace and happiness. In fact, that goes to what His Holiness is saying, all beings want happiness and don't want suffering. In fact, it should be all beings deserve to be happy and don't deserve, they don't deserve to be suffering all the time. It's nothing like that. So that's a great aspiration to have. So that affliction, as with some of the others, you have to recognise that it's a form of suffering. I think everyone in the room did, because no one came up with in this case jealousy's really good, it can really work for me. So that's a really good insight that you have into yourself. That, well, no, I can't see it. So, and His Holiness says, unless you know you're suffering, your desire to be free from suffering will not arise in the first place. So if you recognise that mind of jealousy, it's not so good. That's the recognition His Holiness is talking about. You have to think, in my continuum, when that mind arises, it makes me feel tight and uncomfortable and not at peace. And so I can't say I'm happy when that mind arises. So, is the jealousy at one with the nature of the mind? No, the big shake of the head. No, that's good. I'm very emphatic, so it's good. So there's another analogy. This one's really good. So if we're looking at our continuum, we'd say the nature of our continuum is like the sky. It's our Buddha nature. And these emotions, these afflicted emotions that arise and cover and everything, they're like the clouds. So they use the term adventitious, so in that they're not at one with the pure nature of the mind. They appear, they stay, they cloud things over, but they're separate. There's a separation there. So we can actually be, we should be inspired by that, because if for example, jealousy could not be removed, if it appeared and stayed forever, then you'd say, well, it's at one with the nature of the mind, isn't it? Because nothing I do, nothing will dissolve it, change it. It's still there, so it's still obscuring my Buddha nature or my pure nature. So that's something you have to examine as students yourself. Is it possible to remove one afflicted emotion like jealousy? So possible. It's possible. So it's good. So you have to actually believe that in yourself, that it can be done. How can I do it? So the how is what we'll examine a little bit tonight. So with jealousy, it's actually pretty good, because we use the tools, the wisdom tools, listening, thinking about and meditating. So those are right throughout your journey as students. You should always be looking at those three things. I'm listening, I'm reading, whatever it is, and then I'm thinking about it. So that's that sort of cognition happening. You actually, and then you're meditating on the same topic or a similar topic, and you'll find those three things, they're wisdom tools. They work in tandem, and you will get some space in your continuum if you're focusing on the mind of jealousy and removing it, where you'll get some clarity. So that will come through meditation. So, and then out of the meditation, maybe not much change. You'll think, oh no, that didn't really work, because as soon as I got out of meditation, I saw that person, jealousy arose, and I was willing to tear them down and disparage them. So it didn't work. So you have to go back and sort of repeat again. Try the meditation, and I'll go into a bit of detail on what the meditation is, because it's quite a good one. So this is so what we do is we combine the breathing meditation, which most of you have done. We'll do that again, and then we'll do a little bit of analytical meditation on the mind of jealousy, and then we'll apply the antidote. So for some of the older students here, and that actually probably is most of you, because you've been to Tara Institute before, what is the antidote to jealousy? Self-acceptance. No, it's slightly different to that. Ingrid. Rejoicing. yes, rejoicing in the other person's good qualities or whatever it is that's brought them adulation. So that's the antidote, rejoicing. And with that antidote, again, you're trying it out in meditation. It can be a struggle. You think, I don't really believe what I'm doing. That person's not that good. Why am I rejoicing for them? But then you keep doing it, and then you'll find that becomes a little bit easier. And then when you see the person in real life, you might think, oh, jealousy's risen again, but your first response to them mightn't be to tear them down or disparage them. So there's a little bit of cognitive space appears there. And the other good thing about rejoicing is, we talked at the beginning about having good motivation and then creating this sort of level of positive energy from the activity we're doing now. With rejoicing, you're actually gaining some of the merit of the person that you were previously jealous of by rejoicing in their good qualities. So it's sort of a double whammy. Your mind's less disturbed. You're rejoicing at their good qualities, whether they're deserved or not. So we can't influence that. But by doing that, there's a little bit of merit that we create. In fact, a lot from whatever they've done that's so great. So the great Lama Tsongkhapa, who's the teacher there in the middle with the hands like that, he said that's the easiest practice to do to generate lots of merit. And he was a great scholar. He could meditate. He could do millions of prostrations, great offerings. He was a very clear mind, great compassion. He said that's the easiest way to generate lots of merit is to rejoice. So what that means is then you're, at the same time you're disempowering the afflicted mind of jealousy. If you use the antidote of rejoicing, you're at the same time creating a lot of, or a great store of merit. So, let's do a little bit of breathing meditation. So, just to give us a little bit of a taste. So the most important thing when you're meditating is to have your back straight. So you can be in a chair or sitting on a cushion, doesn't matter. So back straight, and then your hands are in this position. So in our tradition, the left hand goes on the bottom and then the right hand's on top. And then we join our thumbs and point them back towards the navel, and then it sits in our lap. So if you can see that lady there, so she's good. She's got it nicely done. So her thumbs are just pointing backwards a little bit. So Geshe Doga said that focuses the energy for us when we're meditating. So we get this nice clean flow of energy from doing that. So then our eyes are not totally shut and not wide open, so they're just slightly open to allow the impression of light. Our mouth is closed and we're going to be breathing through our nostrils. So we'll do this for a few moments and then we'll go into the meditation itself. So just to relax us, we can visualize, imagine or think that as we're breathing in through our nostrils, that we're receiving blessings or positive energy, enlightened energy. And as we're breathing out, all of our worries, concerns, afflicted minds are leaving us. So we can just do that for a few moments. So then, just to focus our mind, we just draw our attention through the sensation of the breath as it goes in and out through the nostrils. And we'll just do that for a few moments as well. So while remaining in the meditation, just imagine or visualize in front of you that person who brings that jealous mind, who causes that jealous mind to arise in you. So and think about all the reasons that's so. That they have more adulation or recognition for having better qualities than ourselves. And then think that even though I might have that mind of jealousy towards them, that doesn't affect them in any way at all. They still have adulation, recognition, wealth, or charisma, whatever it is. My jealous attitude towards them doesn't impact them at all. And as that jealousy doesn't impact their happiness and just makes us miserable, endeavour to rejoice in their adulation, their recognition, their good qualities. So then bring your attention back to the room and open your eyes. So I've always found that meditation quite difficult to do and confronting to do. However, with practice, what I've noticed is that I can fake it in the meditation and go, oh yes, I'm no longer jealous, and rejoice in their great qualities. However, then when I see that person in real life, then the jealousy comes back. So it takes a lot of I guess reflection to go, well, it's not it isn't actually working the way it should. So do I need to do something else or keep practicing? So my advice to you would be to keep practicing that technique, because while you're in meditation, you're safe, because you can come out of it at any time. There's no you won't go into unconsciousness or coma, so you can practice that technique. Anyway, what happens then, this is what I've noticed, is then if I encounter that person later, then the first response isn't jealousy. So there's a little bit of space at first before the mind of jealousy can come about. So that's good, because before there wasn't that space. It was just immediately, oh, that person's worthless, why, so, but having that is very useful. And then later, as that thought transformation or meditation works, when you see that person, the first response is to rejoice at their good qualities, despite yourself. So there's a little bit of shift happening there. And so that's what I've noticed, that, okay, and then you become an advocate for them. So your mind's at peace, you're happy, they're surprised that you're actually talking nicely about them, they're happy. So you immediately created this peaceful mind as a happy mind by using that meditation technique. And you've also created lots of merit by rejoicing. So then also what I've noticed is if I become more slack with using that technique, then I notice that even if it's another person, another set of circumstances, that mind of jealousy can arise again. So what does that say about that afflicted mind? Is it at one with the pure nature of the mind, or is it adventitious? Can it be separated? It's not a trick question. So it's so it needs practice. So you have to give it a lot of effort, but you will see those results. So if you practice something enough, it becomes sort of second nature. And I think people who are sports people and professionals in life, you can see, they make it look so easy. How did they? But they've been doing it for a long time. They've honed their skills, able to do it. So same with this meditation and this practice. It'll become second nature. And then the mind of jealousy, it might be there, but it might just flash for a moment and then flit away, because your mind is clearer and stronger at that point. And that's a good sign of progress, because you're going, well, in normal times I would have been so jealous of that person, but now my first response is to rejoice. So that's really good. So in the meditation, you can be just thinking I'm rejoicing at their good qualities. But you can also be verbalising it in the meditation to others. You can be practicing that too, because in real life, there's generally, when that person's there, there's probably an audience. And so you've got a good opportunity there to go, oh, you did a great job, fabulous, and then everyone else can join in. It's just really good. So that's that connect between the peaceful mind being the happy mind, because you've created those inner conditions for the mind to be at peace. Then even if you encounter someone who normally make you jealous, it doesn't evoke the strength of response or even the same response. And the double benefit is, as Lama Tsongkhapa says, it's the easiest way to make merit is to rejoice in others. So with merit, why is it so important? Why is it important to create merit? That's not a trick question. So sorry, I don't. It's not a. So you need a whole store of merit to make any spiritual progress. So if you don't have merit, then you'll find, well, I've got one afflicted mind, and then another one. It's one moment of suffering, and another moment. It continues on. There's no break. So when you have merit, create merit, and it's dedicated in the right way, then it can lead to a very good result. So it's, if you like, the analogy of the sky and the clouds clearing away. So you need the merit to get that to happen, in a nutshell. So if you don't have enough merit for that to happen, those clouds will stick, and you'll find, well, I'm sort of doing things, but it's not really working. So you need merit. So using Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching about, if I rejoice, then that's a great way to accumulate merit. Rejoice in someone's good conditions or their good practice or whatever. Then that's the way. That's the easiest way to create merit. So there are other ways to create merit. Has anyone got an idea of what some of those might be? Belief, just on its own.
If you practice something often enough and it occurs, then you then have belief in what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
And you would then extend that to another practice.
Yes, belief, yeah, sure. And the thing, I think your example about belief's good, because that you've actually talking about, I've tried that for myself, it worked, so I'm going to continue to do that and apply that to something else. So that's good, because you can be a student and read the book and it says, the Buddha said to do this and it would work, and I'd become enlightened, and that's it. That's all you do. So that won't, unfortunately, and the Buddha did say, he said, look, he can't clear away everyone's obscurations or unhappiness himself. It's up to the person, the individual, to put the effort in to do it. He can't wash away the stains, I think was the saying he used. He can't wash away the stains of all the beings. They have to put some effort in. So that analogy is really good. So you have to have some effort from your own side, or will, intention, and you see the results yourself, and then you become a little bit more inspired or motivated to continue on. You don't get discouraged if you encounter something that's sort of difficult, because you can see, when I did this actually worked. I'm going to keep doing it. What was that? Yeah, that's another good way to create merit. So you can rejoice, but you can do good for other people. In fact, that's the best. Applying everything with love, yes.
And what you're saying with merit, does that then, is that in turn with virtue? So
Yes, in fact, the term they use is virtuous merit. So if you're applying everything with love, and if you're doing good for others, immediately you're creating virtue or merit. So so that's important. So we do need a store of this merit to actually gain that state of clarity or happiness. If we don't have the merit, then you'll find, well, I'm intending to do it, and I'd really like to, but I don't have the conditions, or there's too many obstacles for me. But if you have the merit, then it sort of helps you to propel you into the practice. Like that gentleman said, the effort. He's done something. If you've done something and then seen the result and gone, oh, that gives him some impetus to do it again in a different way. So that's good. So we need lots of merit. So when we come to the end, we'll do the dedication, and that's sort of going, okay, I've got this merit, I can't see it, I can't handle it, but I've created something virtuous. So what do I direct it towards? That's important too. So because some people, they do lots of positive things and they'll get a positive result, but their motivation might be totally worldly. I'm doing it for my own wealth and recognition. So they'll still get a positive result from that, but we're not talking about that here. So So in the Tibetan Buddhism, the Mahayana tradition we have here, so you had, just to use a few examples of how to create merit, practice of generosity is one, so very good, aligns with what you two were saying. Practicing good morality, which is essentially sort of like not harming others or through your actions in different forms. So practicing patience, it's another one. So that's one of the afflicted minds is anger, and one of the antidotes is patience. So if someone makes you angry and you react with anger or hatred towards them, at that moment, do you have the peaceful mind that Geshe Doga is talking about? Are you happy at that moment? No. So the patient acts as an antidote. So it's almost like it's happening. Yeah. It's an acceptance at that point. So it's not very well understood, because you can get someone who's abusing you. And that's not good, is it? So that person's actually harming the other person, whether it's you or someone else. So acceptance isn't going, oh yeah, bring it on, and I deserve it. So that's not. So we're not talking about that being patience, because it's just not having that anger at that point. So it means you can still act and go, no, I'm not going to allow that to occur. So that's important, because it means that we're not viewing the person who's being abused as a punching bag or a victim. That they're deserving of happiness too. So they deserve to be able to go, well, I'm going to put a stop to this, or I'm going to seek assistance. So, but acting with patience if we don't use that example, acting with that acceptance when others are angry or abusive is a form of virtue. So I used the example a few weeks ago of driving in a car on the street, and someone cuts you off. So anger's that quick that it arises in an instant, So it's so strong, but it's anger, so it's flash like that. So to drive and to not have that, you have some peace at that point. If you're disturbed by that person cutting you off, at that moment you don't have any peace at all. So one of the other ways to generate merit is having enthusiastic perseverance. So this combines being able to, I'm going to keep going, I'm on the right path, I know what I'm doing, I know what I have to do, with a joyous intention. So you need that too. So that creates lots of merit, having that. Because nothing can put you off if you have that quality. So that can be cultivated as well. Yep.
Is sort of thinking that generating the merit, is it sort of like developing a muscle? Or developing muscles that will get stronger? You're able, you've got more capacity to deal with. I'm just thinking it like that.
Yes. Yep. So he's generating merit like a muscle memory, or where you cultivate something and it gets better and better. Yeah, stronger. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So that in fact it's a good to apply it to the analogy of the sports person or the skilled artisan or artist. Where they've practiced something over and over, and at first they weren't very good and they were making lots of mistakes, and then eventually they got better and better and better until whatever they produce is perfect. So it's a little bit like that for us. When we begin, it's like I can't have a moment's peace. Every time I sit down and close my eyes, there's just a massive emotions that disturb me. But then you practice it and you get a little bit clearer and you get a moment of lucidity and you think, oh, where did that come from? Is that from someone else? It's not me. That's what it's like. So it's like, oh. And then once you see that in yourself, you can cultivate it. So that's, in a way, that, if you like, getting that glimpse in yourself is like seeing the sky for the first time. So you go, I couldn't believe it, that I could have that moment of happiness or peace, even if it only lasted a second. You go, well, it was there, it was your experience or my experience, so but it can be cultivated. There are two more good qualities that we talk about in this tradition. So the next one is concentration. So this one is being able to focus on your chosen object without distraction. So this one's quite harder, because if you think about it, you go, oh yes, I'm meditating, I'm breathing in, breathing out, and then it's like, oh, I've got to go and meet my friend tomorrow. And so your concentration's gone. So it's easy to lose it, and then so you have to practice that. But once you can hold your object for, as Geshe-Doga said, you meditate with some for 30 seconds, a minute. Keep practicing a minute, and then once you get good, you go a minute 10. Try and get a bit long, just a little bit longer, not 20 minutes or an hour. So because if you find, I can do a minute of concentration meditation on the breath, and my mind's not jumping out, it's staying there. That will bring some clarity itself. And once you can focus, and you can probably see that's again this form of concentration again with sports people and artisans and professionals, that if they put their mind to the task, they go bang, they get it, they can achieve it without distraction. So we can do that too. It's a developed skill. But always for beginners, they say just small, sharp sessions, doing it say once a day consistently, keep doing it, minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, and if you get really, I can keep going, go 10 seconds more, go a little bit more, but not much more. So, because you don't want to get to the point where the meditation becomes a chore and you hate it, so you just stop it, and you'll find that organically that concentration will develop. So one of the things about the human beings in, they say what was the southern continent or this realm, is that we have that ability to see suffering and then overcome it. So there are beings in other worlds where they don't actually have overt suffering. So for them it's like, I'm not interested because it's all good. Everything's happy. So I don't need to worry about developing my mind because the conditions are really good. So because we can see it and go, oh, that's not that good. I'm going to develop myself because that's suffering and that's causing me a lack of peace and happiness. So we have that. So that gives us an advantage. So it's important to use it. So we can develop concentration. So that's the point I'm making. Not every being can. So we see animals, very virtuous. So I was looking after 2 kelpies for the weekend. Virtuous, loyal, happy, But and they're very intelligent dogs. Those dogs are working dogs. They can, but they're still restricted in what they can do, and they're very reliant, obviously, on the human to take care of them. So to teach a dog to meditate, I'm not sure. I don't think so. They can learn tricks, but I don't think they could do that. I don't think they can. Anyway, okay. Has anyone trained a dog to meditate, or a monkey? I don't know. A primate can. I think there's some limit to what even those other beings can do, even if you could get them to sit or whatever. And then to understand. But we can do it. So that's a huge advantage.
I have 2 cats that sit with us whenever we do.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So again, we think, oh, it's not work. Just for us it'll work, but not for them. But there's this thing of, like we talked about with rejoicing. I'm rejoicing in that great being's good deeds, and that girl, she's done so well. I'm rejoicing in her great work, and there's that vicarious, well, I'm gaining some of the merit she has achieved because I'm rejoicing. It's the same with the pets. If they're sitting while you're meditating, there's a little bit of positive energy going their way. So there is a story of one teacher, and I think it's the Indian master Nagarjuna, and he was reciting his texts, and there happened to be 2 birds sitting outside the window or whatever, and so he's reciting them verbally, vocalising them. Anyway, once these birds died, they were reborn as great scholars and learned practitioners because of the impact of listening to the great Nagarjuna reciting these texts. That somehow it went into their continuum, and whatever karma they had to be birds was exhausted. They died and they were reborn as humans, and then they were able to become great scholars, translators, and so on. So there's a story, I guess, vicariously that they've gotten something. So you can look after your pets as well. So you can say prayers for them and direct them towards good things and do good things, and you can pray for them as well. You can help, you can impact them. It's the same with the people around you. You can have some effect on them that's virtuous. So I think that's going to be it. There's a few more good qualities, but I think those ones are sufficient for you to think about. So just to finish up. So if we've gained any of this positive energy, so what do we do with it so it doesn't dissipate? So we use the term dedication. So we can dedicate the merit we've achieved through this hour, or this activity of listening and thinking about and meditating. We can dedicate that, and what can we dedicate it towards? What's that? Our lives. What specifically about our lives?
Each day.
Okay, we can dedicate it each day, but what are we dedicating it towards?
Happiness.
Happiness. Okay, our own happiness. Yep, worthwhile. So that is worthwhile, isn't it? To dedicate it towards our own happiness, because we think, well, I'm not that happy, but I think I can be happier. I'll apply these techniques. I've generated this merit. I'm going to dedicate it to that. Anyone else? Yes? Service to other beings. Yes, so that's taking it to a different level. So you can still have, I'm generating it towards my own happiness, but you can also extend it to all beings. So that becomes important later, when you start thinking about, I'll dedicate it towards my friends' benefit, but not my enemies. Not the people I dislike. They're not going to get any of the merit. What's that? Has to be to all. So that brings up another virtuous mind, which overcomes a lot of afflictions, which is the mind of equanimity. So you're trying to be a little bit more equal-minded to all the beings you encounter, even if it's a friend or someone who's a stranger or someone who comes across as a bit aggressive and an enemy. So that takes cultivation as well. But having that intention or that dedication, as that gentleman has said, for all sentient beings, it's good to do that even now, even if we think, that's impossible. I can't do that. I can't even think about all beings. What would that look like? It's impossible. But it's good to have the thought, because what you'll find is, as your mind clears, you'll find it becomes more expansive, and you'll start to think about, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, Europe, Asia, Africa, the continents, the oceans, the solar system. You'll start to think about that, and you could be able to dedicate your merit to all the beings that are around. So that's quite important. So we'll cover a bit of that next week, about how we're connected to everyone. So that brings in some of the ideas about the law of cause and effect, which we've spoken about briefly, and the law of cause and effect and rebirth. So if we're connected to just here, the people here, that's fine, that's good. But if we're connected to every being, how does that work? So we'll talk a little bit about that, because that's a little bit more in the Buddhist cosmology, but it's also very relevant to the discussion around, the peaceful mind's the happy mind. How can we utilise that? And having that expansive mind from the beginning, even if it's contrived, it's very good, because eventually, as same with practice, it will become more natural, and it will only bring good results. So I think we can finish up. So we can dedicate. So we can dedicate for ourselves, and we can dedicate also for for all sentient beings. So any merit we've accumulated from the time we've had together, we can dedicate. Okay, thank you very much.